to start today with Coach Pope.
Raise your hand, we'll get a mic. Start with Ryan.
Kind of a two-part question. Just has Dante Thornton been exclusively working at the slot or outside too, and where have you seen him grow the most since the spring?
Yeah, we're working him in different spots. We're doing a good job of trying to use his skill set to put him in some different situations. Just his growth the most was getting in here and learning what we do, learning how we operate on the field and in the building. There's a work ethic. I think that has brought itself on by the players. It's expected here now. So with him learning the playbook, with him getting in here and creating habits, he's fit right in with these guys and done a great job so far.
With Ramel Keaton, just a guy that stepped up last year when you needed him, just kind of where's he grown since you've gotten here and really in the last year?
Honestly, he's become a great person. Like, he's become a more mature kid. He's become more accountable, and he cares about football. He's become a way better teammate, and I think that's translated to him being able to take advantage to some opportunities on the field. He does a great job down the field, Justin, to catch his fours. This offseason, he's done a good job of honing in on technique and more of the intermediate underneath game. He's done a great job for us, and we look forward to him continuing to lead our group.
Coach, with Jalen and Cedric gone, how has Brew kind of stepped up as the veteran in that group?
Yeah, I think that's been a natural transition for him. I think the special thing about Brew is he's always carried himself that way, right? When you had Cedric and you had Jalen and those guys in that room, Brew still carried himself that way. Now, those guys were on the outside. They had been here, but the guys in the room have always respected him. So when those guys leave and they go, to the next level, it's an easy transition for a kid like that. He's a great leader. He's truly an alpha. He's going to come to work every single day. And when he's not going, he's the biggest cheerleader on the sideline. He's everything you want in that group. With him and some of those older guys that are leading, they do a great job of helping our young guys come along and learn how we do things.
Kelsey, just with Chaz Nimrod and Caleb Webb, how would you assess where they're at right now and how their first week or so of camp has gone?
Those two have been very impressive, both of them, in their own separate ways, right? Like, Caleb is a bigger body, big catch radius, strong, powerful kid. Chaz is more agile, very twitchy, but both of those guys have been exceptional. My job for those two, they haven't seen this thing before on our level, so I got to get those guys consistent. Right now, you see flashes all over the place from both of them. Right now, it's my job to get those guys more consistent so they're making plays consistently, and you see it more on a first, second, third down basis. It ain't just showing one series to the next.
Family is one of Dante Thornton's biggest values. Have you been able to see that come to life yet inside the wide receiving room, and how important is it to have that value inside of a football program?
Man, I think that's a huge reason why we got the kid. I really do. I think in recruiting, you find things that kids are that are important to them, and I think you have to sell those points. One of the reasons we got him is our relatability. That's coaches and the players. Like, he came here and he fit right in with the players. And to me, that's a seamless transition. Because when you're working hard at a common goal, when that environment is comfortable for you to work hard in, like, it's easier for me to give it everything I got. When I'm worried about who's around me or I'm comfortable with the people around me, like, it's going to be that much harder for me to really strain. So Dante's come in, and he's like gel, and he's been a glue guy for our group. They all, crack jokes, and they're on social media together. It's like we didn't even he's been here the whole time almost sometimes.
Adam and Austin.
Bruce said that last year he got a little too emotional sometimes during games. He would let, anger linger a little bit. I'm curious to know if you ever addressed that with him, and because he seems like a chill guy, that he wouldn't be angry. Did you ever talk to him about that?
Yeah, he's a Cali guy on the outside. But on the inside, man, he's one of the most fierce competitors I've been around. And I think some of that came naturally with Brew. He came here and wanted to prove himself. And, you have to fight a fine line when you're that type of player. There's a duality, right? I want to be aggressive, and I want to be urgent, but I can't press, right? And when he got some of those situations last year, he's like a bull in the china shop. I think this year he's able to take some of that load off, still be accountable, but you see him play a lot more smoothly. He ain't as tense. Because he's seen a year in it. He's got an expectation of what we do and what this league is, and he's been awesome for us.
KP, you're going to be a dad here in a few weeks. Congratulations, by the way.
That's inside information.
But when when you know when you're going through fall camp, and then of course you got your wife who's expecting, how are you balancing juggling that from a soon to be dad / coach perspective when you're trying to got this feverish time of year?
That's a great point. I think I'm still learning, man. I could probably get some pointers from you guys, the dads in the room. But for me, man, I treat these kids just like I would treat my own. I want to make sure I'm giving everything I can to these guys, and then when I'm at home, I'm giving everything I can to my wife and my family. And the special thing about that is, man, these guys are just as involved as with my family as I am with theirs, right? Like, I had 3 or 4 guys drop off like kids books, like their favorite kids books, like the Cat in the Hat and Dr. Seuss series. Like, for me, that's heartwarming because it lets you know the guys that you invest in are willing to invest back in you. So that kind of gives me, some pride, and I take a lot of pride in that. It speaks back to that family feeling we were just talking about. When they see, the time and the effort that I put into them, they're that much more willing to do that with my son and my kids in the future. That gives you a good feeling. That lets you know you're in the right direction. You got a good culture.
You speak about family. Plenty of VFLs are being successful in the NFL. When you see Cedric Tillman and Jalen Hyatt shining in training camp, how much pride does that bring you as being their former coach?
Man, I think it's awesome to see, but quite frankly, like, that's the expectation, right? Like, you hear a lot of people say about the offense and this and that, and, people make up what they want to in recruiting. Like, this offense helps guys win in one-on-one matchups. That league is all about one-on-one matchups. So the things that those guys are doing there, it's an expectation by everybody in this building that they're going to win situations like that. And we look forward to seeing those guys. Texts back and forth with those guys between games, between practice are awesome. It's also good to share with your current guys because they've seen those guys where they started. Jalen said started, their career ending here and where they are now. I think those experiences you can use as learning tools for the guys you got in your room. So it's been awesome.
We've seen Squirrel White kind of come out of his shell from last season to this year. How have you seen him mature and grow on the field?
Yeah, he's awesome. He's turned into a little bit of a comedian. I heard him and Joe Milton were a new duo this summer. That was news to me. But seeing him open up and be more talkative and his personality come out, that's only better for the rest of the room. Squirrel's a vibrant light on and off the field. When he's around the guys, everybody lights up. When he's on the field, it's contagious. Everybody's willing to play harder. But seeing that personality show in the room has been awesome. It's been really good.
Adam, Rob, and Austin.
Seems like we hear a different wide receiver is like best friends with Joe. Is that should your wide receivers trying to build a relationship off the field with their quarterback?
I think that's always a good thing when wide receivers and quarterbacks are clicked up like that. I think, that helps them build camaraderie off the field. Obviously, when you're in my foxhole and I know who you are, I know what you've been through, that just makes us in the fourth quarter a lot more deadly because guys are willing to go to battle for those that they know, all right, that are right next to them. It's been cool to see. It's been cool to see Joe's maturation. When he got here, and where he is now, it's like 2 completely different people. He's matured a ton. It's fun to see him on the practice field. Outside of the physical gifts, you see him interacting with guys in between drives, coaching them up, talking about what they see. And he's not always talking, he's listening too, which to me shows you he's a good leader, that he's willing to listen and apply on his end as well. So seeing all those guys mature, man, has been phenomenal for us, and we look forward to continue taking that jump this training camp.
Coach, you just mentioned this and made me curious. I think probably a lot of fans are curious about Jalen and Cedric and them maybe being critical in the pre-draft. People maybe being critical of them in the pre-draft process because of the offense, and I think a lot of people, we heard it about Hendon too. How much do you battle that on the recruiting trail? And, same thing, how much, validation is it that you've got those 3 guys in those last draft to point to?
100%. I think what people don't understand, they try to just kind of make up, right? But it's my job as a coach to answer questions in the recruiting process, right? Like, our offense, puts guys in situations to win one-on-one matchups. Defenses are supposed to stop guys in those one-on-one situations, right? Like, it doesn't matter at the end of the day what the scheme is, what the play call is. Like, I'm giving him a technique to beat a defensive player. He's giving a technique to beat me. If I'm beating him 10 out of 10 times, like, I can translate that on any level, and that's what it comes down to. Now, guys have different skill sets. You show those in recruiting, right? Guys are put in different spots. You show those in recruiting. But at the end of the day, you got to win your matchup, and that's what it is here. That's what those guys have learned to do, and that's what they showed on Saturday, and that's why they're successful in the league. And it's no rhyme or reason to why they're doing that besides, it transitioned from what they did in college.
When you look at Ramel, you talked about all the growth he's had and everything. He's wearing a new number. Sometimes it be as simple as just kind of like look good, feel good, play good type thing, and then two, like, have you ever kind of caught up, like, who's number 9? Like, I mean, does it ever catch you off guard out there?
Yeah, it probably happened the first couple of days, but, I think sometimes, guys need new numbers. I'm all about looking good and feeling good, but at the end of the day, we got to get results, right? Like, man, if you're wearing 99 and you're the best player in the country, like, you're probably going to be in 99. Ramel's been awesome with that transition. He hadn't missed a beat. He looks just like the old number 80 there. He's improved in some areas. So I look forward to seeing more from 9 on the field.
Speaking of Ramel, Kelsey, at what point when you got here did you realize what sort of player Ramel could be? Because he was a big-time prospect and then didn't get off to the start maybe he wanted, at least as a pass catcher anyway. But at what point did you see what he could be, and how close is he to being that player?
I think it was last spring. I think we had a guy go down, and Ramel kind of transitioned into more of a starter's role last spring. And I think it was at that point when you started to see him play and show what he could really do. And the funny thing about that, life comes full circle. We get to the season, and the exact same thing happened. The guy in front of him went down, and he was a reserve. He came in and made a bunch of plays for us in critical situations. So I think, man, that's why it's so important in practice to push these guys to their limit. When guys go down or you got a guy out for a day or two, man, you got to treat the next guy as if he's a starter. That way, during the season when those things happen, you don't skip a beat. Guys don't flinch. They just continue to go and roll. And we can truly create a unit that way. I think we're getting to that point to where our unit is becoming more holistic, where we can plug and play guys wherever.
Kelsey, I wanted to ask you about your 2 true freshmen. Just what have you seen from Nate Spillman and Nathan Leacock so far?
Both of those guys have been great in the classroom. Both of those guys still have some work to do on the field. But they both have traits. They're both physically gifted. They're both determined and want to be good. And that's really all you need. We've seen a lot of guys in our room, get developed, right? And if guys are competitive and determined, man, we can develop you and you can be as good as you want to be. And they've shown every tool in the world to be successful in what we do and in this league.
Last 2 recent.
At SEC Media Days, Joe Milton said that Ramel kind of came out of his shell when he went on a trip to New York City. At what point did you kind of realize that he is a better person in the locker room? Because you said that in one of your opening questions.
You see their interactions, right? At some point, guys start to make it about the group. And you see Ramel, man, like, he's naturally a quiet kid, but you see him going to coach other guys on the side. Even when he's tired, he just came off the field, but he wants to go coach other guys when they come off to the sideline. He's willing to stay after with the younger guys and help them get, transition and things like that with the playbook. You just see selfless acts like that, see him serve others. And I think, for a while now, man, he's come on for us. And I think that started off the field, and I think that translated to Saturdays. And now you guys see what you see out of him.
Kelsey, can you give us some examples, either plays, catches, moments for Dante Thornton where he's shown his ability and his potential as a wide receiver in your offense?
Yeah. So from Dante, what you get is a big targeted receiver, a guy that can run, a guy that can bend, that's agile. We got a couple days early in camp where it's just helmets and shorts, and he's coming across the middle, and it's a big target for the quarterback coming across the middle of the field with speed. He's able to catch that thing, continue to run. For me, man, like, having guys like that, with that ability, with that length, being able to run the way he can is awesome to see. It is a completely different product of what we had last year in Jalen, and sometimes said. He's kind of a mixture of both of those guys in some ways. But it's been a bunch of times this camp, man, where you've seen him and your eyes just get big. And it may be I look at hype or he looks at me. and he's a good addition to us. So him and all of the other guys have been awesome this camp. We just look forward to those guys continuing to push the envelope, continuing to work, and hopefully that process is where it needs to be when we start.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you all.